We're live.
Okay, thanks. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to start by recognizing and acknowledging the Songhees and Esquimalt nations whose traditional territories we work, we learn, and we live, we learn, and we do our work. I'd like to thank them for their gracious welcome and welcome everybody to the meeting tonight. As we have been doing, I'd like to do some introductions, and it's easier if I'm looking at the screen and I can just say your name and you could introduce yourself to the group. And Shelley, you're at the top of the screen, so you're first.
Oh, great. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. My name is Dr. Shelley Wilton, and I'm the Director for Indigenous Education with the Greater Victoria School District. Thank you.
Thanks. Julie?
Hi, my name is Julie Lautner. I am the Associate Secretary Treasurer.
Harvinder?
Hi, I'm Harvinder Parmar. I'm the Director of Finance, Budgets, and Financial Reporting with the Greater Victoria School District.
Jeff, welcome. Haven't seen your face for a while.
Yeah, it has been quite some time. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. My name is Jeff Davis. I'm the Director of International Education for the Greater Victoria School District. Thank you.
Thanks. Shauna?
Good evening. I am Shauna Abbott. I am the president of QP 947.
Thank you. Anave?
Hello, Annabelle Cloxister, Student Success Manager, Songhees Nation.
Haley?
Hi, Kaylee Dyer, Director of Education for Esquimalt Nation.
Sarah?
Good evening, everyone. Sarah Winkler, Principal of George J. and President of the Victoria Principals and Vice Principals Association.
Carolyn?
Hello, my name is Carolyn Howe. I'm the President of the Greater Victoria Teachers Association.
Michael?
Good evening, Mike Knutson, Head of the Human Resources Department here at SD61.
Thank you. And I'll just go around this table here, starting with Sean.
Good evening, everyone. Sean Powell, Acting Associate Superintendent for Greater Victoria School District.
Hi, everyone. My name is Katrina Stride, Secretary Treasurer for the Greater Victoria School District.
Good evening, Deb Whitten, Superintendent of the Victoria School District.
Hi, good evening, Tom Arts, Associate Superintendent here in the Greater Victoria School District.
And I'm Sherry Bell, Official Trustee, and welcome to our final budget meeting tonight. This is a culmination of quite a few meetings, and I see people's faces that have been here for all of them, so thank you. Tonight, the format is just a little bit different than it has been. It will likely be a little bit more condensed. We have a presentation by our Secretary Treasurer who will be going through what is B on the agenda. Quite briefly, there will be no PowerPoint presentation tonight. Many of you have seen the presentations that have taken place at our partners meeting, our working group, and other board meetings. So Katrina will spend a little bit of time going through the package, talk about some changes that have taken place. We will have time for you, the people on the screen, to ask questions. We've received, I think, about 5 questions that will be answered tonight as well. And if you have other questions that we can't answer, of course, we'll endeavor to get back to you as soon as possible. So with that, I'd like to approve the agenda and move on to B, the annual budget, and turn the floor over to our Secretary Treasurer.
Thank you. I just will highlight some of the items that are in the memo that is within the agenda package. First of all, as our official trustee has noted, the draft 2025-2026 annual budget, including a memo with all of the variance analysis between the annual budget last year, or the current year we're in right now, 24-25 and 25-26, as well as the budget template, was all presented at a special budget meeting on April 2nd. And we did include in the agenda package, starting on page 25, the agenda package from that meeting. So you can see all of the documents if you want to reference them. And I'll just note too that we did have an internal budget working session that was held on April 3rd. And so as noted, there has been one amendment to the 2025-2026 annual budget since it was presented on April 2nd. Page 3 of the agenda package in the memo shows the details of that amendment. And what you can see there is that we had initially shown a reduction of a partial year for a second EA mentor. So it was included as an ongoing reduction of 35,000. We have now added a second EA mentor for the full year as a one-time addition totaling 67,000. So just keeping in mind that 35,000 was already included in the budget for a partial year. So this is the difference. And the increase will be funded from anticipated savings due to the implementation of expenditure management within departments and schools in the last quarter of the 2024-2025 school year. I'll also just highlight that in the agenda package on April 2nd, we included a table that showed the breakdown of operating expenses. And in this new memo, we've just shown that operating expense table updated to reflect the change. So the changes in salaries and employee benefits, salaries has gone up by 53,000 and benefits up by 14,000, and that's your total of 67,000 for that position. And tied to that, because of that change, the budget bylaw itself has also changed. So it's been reflected or updated to reflect that change in the total operating expense. So the first line item in that table is operating total expense that has increased by 67,000, and the total budget bylaw amount has increased by 67,000. So included in this memo are the three bylaw readings. And in order for the budget to be approved in one meeting, there needs to be a motion carried to do 3 readings in one meeting. So that is in the memo, as well as the 3 readings. And we're looking at a budget bylaw amount. So this includes all of the funds, operating, capital, and special purpose, of 331,518,909. And I'll just move along in the package. If you want to look on page 6, there is an updated 25-26 budget balancing recommendation worksheet. So as noted under reductions ongoing, that $35,000 reduction is no longer there. Under additions, one time, you can see 32,000 added, and it's being added to the 35,000 that is already included in the budget. And then the last item that has changed is under appropriation of accumulated surplus one time. So that projected surplus found through expenditure management and reduction of school reserves has had $67,000 added to it. The annual budget template that is provided to the ministry has also been updated to reflect this change. That document is on page 7. And then lastly, the draft multi-year financial plan, which is on page 23 in the agenda package, has also been updated to reflect that change. The only column that has changed in that document is the one for draft annual budget 2025-2026. As they were it's a one-time addition. So we've left 26-27 and 27-28 the same as what was presented on April 2nd. That's your highlights.
Thank you. I'd like to just open it to questions from our partners and rights holders that are joining us tonight. See if you have any questions that haven't been brought forward at another meeting, something that came up in between this week and last week. If something comes up as we move through the meeting, please make sure you put your hand up and I'd be happy to go forward and ask you some questions. So that does bring us to the end of the detailed explanations that have taken place over the last couple of weeks. You can see the change that we did make with the one mentorship position. And I'm going to just, before I start reading, because I do have to read all three, so you'll probably tune out a little bit as I'm going through this, but I do have to legally read all three readings at the end of this. So, but before we move, no questions on the screen. I'm going to go to the questions that were submitted to us. And I'm going to read the first one out, and I have different people that will answer them. So, when will you be realizing the breakdown of where money is spent and specifically allocated to safety and monitoring kids in breaks? If the person that wrote that in is out there and watching, I'm really not exactly sure what the question means. So I'm going to pass it to Katrina to do her best at answering the question. And if you have follow-up questions, please either go through your school principal or reach out to one of us for further clarification. So over to you, Katrina.
Thank you. I think the best way to answer that question with what's included in the agenda package is probably to take a look at page 16 of the agenda package. So it's Schedule 2C, and it provides, I'm just going to pull it up for myself. What that is operating expense by function, program, and object. So I think it gives you the greatest level of detail around where we've allocated expense budget. So you can see by what we call objects. So that would be teachers, principals, vice principals, EAs, and so on. But also by what we call functions. So under instruction, district admin, operations and maintenance, and transportation and housing. So that's the greatest level of detail that we can see with the annual budget.
But if the person has any more specific questions, please feel free to contact either the school or the school district office for more clarification. The next one is one that I think Mike will answer for us. I think there needs to be a review of whether teachers are entitled to having full-time status when technically they work part-time, positioned by employment standards, given the time off for Pro D days, etc. Can you please explain? Mike.
So the Employment Standards Act doesn't actually speak to full-time status. The only reference to teachers in the Act is actually to exclude them from Section 34 of the Act, which deals with hours of work. For teachers, the length of the work year and the hours of work are outlined within the current collective agreement, which is negotiated provincially. So there is no reference to this topic within the Employment Standards Act.
Thanks, Mike. The next question is a facilities question. And there's a couple of questions. One talks about the number of facilities of tradespeople has remained the same, but the managerial team has increased. Can you explain? Also, if their core is to manage the trades, how can more managers be justified if there's no more increase in trades? So Katrina again.
So first of all, we took a look back in 2017, 2018. And there were 4 childcare builds in progress in that year. And major capital projects were at 7.6 million. And then just comparing that to the current year that we're in, 2024, 2025, we have 12 childcare builds that are in progress. And our major capital projects to the end of March, and we still have 3 months left to go, are totaling 27.3 million. So there's certainly been an increase in capital activity in the past 7 years. And I can also say that there has been an increase in, while managers have increased, I believe, by around 5 positions, we've seen an increase of 36 positions in trade. So if we hire more capital trades, we also require more capital managers to manage this.
Thank you. 2 questions that are almost the same, so I think I'll put them together. And the questions are around the KEV. So the first question is, does the 25-26 budget allot for the continuation of fees introduced in the 24-25 year that applies to payments made in KEV school cash online? I'll read the next part too. And it says, could you explain where this fee goes and is it permitted by the School Act? And back to you again, Katrina.
The answer to the first question is yes. This budget is continuing on with the same value-based pricing that was introduced in 2024-25. And the answer to the second question is 2 pieces to it. First of all, where it goes. So it depends on the form of payment that is made by the user. So if they're paying by credit card, that 4% plus transaction fee goes to KEV, School Cash Online. It's not received by the school district. It goes to pay for merchant fees and software fees. And if a user is paying by cash and check, they're paying the same amount. That fee does go back to the school. And I was able to just take a look to see how much that, or how big that number would be for the current year, bearing in mind we're not quite through the school year yet. And it's approximately 7,000 across the entire district. So not a huge amount. My understanding is that those fees are there because we do have, or the School Act has a financial hardship policy and the school district as well. So my understanding is that that pot of funds could be used to help support families who are unable to pay for fees.
What about the School Act supporting this kind of?
So in the School Act, I would, there is a section, it's section 82.3, fees and deposits, which permits school districts to charge fees for goods and services. And so we are in compliance with the School Act in that sense. I would say as we are looking to next year for 25-26, when we're looking to publish our schedule of fees, that you will see that the fees published will be inclusive of all related costs, which would include any transaction fees.
Thank you. This is a topic that we've heard a lot of. I received a number of letters from parents about the fees, and I didn't know that $7,000 number, but it seems to be that maybe because it's new, I'm not sure that it's something that people are concerned about. Don't want to put you on the spot, but do most other school districts use a cash online system?
I don't know how many school districts are using it, but those who are, I believe most of them are using KEV. There are a couple of other options. One is US based, and I know one of our neighboring districts is using one of their competitors. From what I'm aware of, they also charge comparable fees. They're just not as transparent. So we were very intentional when we moved to value-based pricing that we would communicate to our school communities that there was a fee embedded in the program. That was a change for us. And so I would suspect that if you're using other parents in other districts may just not be aware that there's a fee that's built in.
Oh, okay.
Because you can't see it. So as a parent and you're going to pay it, it's not broken out, it's just a total. But we shared with parents that there is a transaction fee that's now incorporated.
Okay. Thank you. And is it for, one of these questions has 4.5% and the other one says 4%. Is it 4.5 or 4%? Okay. Thank you. That's that concludes the questions that have been submitted. Going back to the screen to see if there's any of our partners, rights holders, stakeholders that would like to ask any questions or comments before I move to the bylaw. Okay, moving to B2, budget bylaw readings. The first motion is that the official trustee of School District 61 Greater Victoria agrees to give all 3 readings of the Board of Education of School District 61 Greater Victoria 2025-2026 annual budget bylaw at the special board meeting on April 8th, 2025. And that motion is carried. Next motion are the next 3 motions are the 3 readings of the bylaw. That the Board of Education School District 61 Greater Victoria 2025-2026 annual budget bylaw in the amount of $331,518,909 be read the first time on the 8th day of April 2025, and that is carried. That the Board of Education School District 61 Greater Victoria 2025-2026 annual budget bylaw in the amount of $331,518,909 be read a second time on the 8th day of April 2025, and that is carried. Last motion, that the Board of Education of School District 61 Greater Victoria 2025-2026 annual budget bylaw in the amount of $331,518,909 be read a third time, passed and adopted on the 8th day of April 2025, and that the Secretary Treasurer and the official trustee be authorized to sign, seal, and execute this bylaw on behalf of the board. That motion is carried. And with that, we have completed the budget process for 2025-2026. I'd like to thank people that are here tonight, but some special thank yous go to anyone that attended the budget meetings all the way from last November when our students were taking part, to district personnel that took part, to parents that completed the survey, to staff that completed the survey. And then since February, we had two partners table meetings to look at budget and a few budget meetings that were public. So anyone that attended those, thank you. And a huge thank you to Julie, Arvinder, and Katrina and their teams who put this together for us annually. And, you know, it starts now for next year. The process, once this is passed, doesn't end. And I want to take a minute to talk about what that will look like. As a school district, having over $5 million structural deficit is daunting to look at to start a new budget cycle. So one of the things that I'd like to be able to do with our partners table, many of you know that we've suspended ed policy and operations planning policy, and we have a partners table with rights holders, stakeholders, school leaders, district staff. And the meetings that we've had so far, and parents as well, parents weren't there at the first meeting, but we had a special meeting for them, and hopefully they'll be able to participate in our future meetings. I'd like this table to look at budget process for next year, why we have a structural deficit, conversations we can have about the structural deficit. You've been, if you're at our partners table, sent invitations for a meeting in April, one in May and one in June. And as I've said before, I'd like those to be very conversational based, meaty kind of meetings where we have one or two topics that people can submit. And I will always have one on the table for us to talk about and work through. And, you know, budget being something front of mind right now, it still will be next week as we get ready for next year. So that will be coming up, along with looking at other important issues within the district. One would be a refresh of our strategic plan and how can we do that in the best, most inclusive way possible. So that's where we are right now. Thank you for being here and participating. Your voice does make a difference. Your questions do make a difference. And there's a survey that will be coming available tonight or tomorrow that people can write in feedback and comments, and we will refer to the feedback that we get from the survey as we move forward too, and that information will be brought to the board meeting just as so the public can see it, but also to the partners table so we can work through it. And with that, I wish you all a good night, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.